Well, good evening, everyone. I am Paola Tachi, Chairwoman of the Board of Architectural Review, and I'm officially opening this meeting of February 2nd, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. Before we begin, I want everyone, because we have some new faces here, to do a round of introductions, but I'd like to preface that, though. I personally, and on behalf of the bar, would like to thank past Chairwoman Sheila Tralins, Joshua Arendt, and Christopher Boshiers for their amazing devotion to volunteerism, to making Tuxedo Park and the Board of Architectural Review a better place and a pleasant experience for everyone. I thank them for their service, and we have some nice size shoes to fill. So anyway, with that, I'd like to start a round of introductions. I'm Paola Tachi. For those of you who don't know me, I've been a Tuxedo Park resident since 1985. I have served in this position and on this board before for 17 years, and I'm happy to be back. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Stephanie Rinza.
My name is Stephanie Rinza. Thank you. I'm new to Tuxedo Park. We recently moved into Chastellux, which is a major conservation project I'm looking forward to. It really is my passion. I started as a McKinsey consultant, and I've worked in the art industry for many years and have been restoring similar buildings for 35 years in London as well as in New York City. So I really look forward to hopefully being of some help if I can.
You'll be a great help.
Very much to learn.
A lot of confidence. Molly?
I'm Molly Gonzalez. I have been a Tuxedo Park resident now for 2 years. My family and I moved into Topbridge on Pine Hill. I grew up in a historical area as well. So this has been something that I've been surrounded by for my entire life. Most of my career has been in the investing space, but I'm so thrilled to be here with this bar committee working together.
And for those of you who don't know my background, okay, I've been in the design and construction industry for 40 years. I'm CEO and president of the Tachi Group, which is a project management firm that provides design and project management services to the design and construction industry all over the world. Okay, now with that, would you want to just reintroduce yourself?
Yes,
Sure,
my name
everybody knows you.
Christopher Gow. I've been in Tuxedo Park for about 10 years. I trained in the history of art and architecture at the École du Louvre in Paris many moons ago. And I'm passionate about Tuxedo Park, specifically the ecology, the landscape, and the nature that surrounds us. And so that's what my bent is.
Rob?
And I am Rob McQuilkin. I've lived here since 2006, about 16 years or so. I spent 12 years on the planning board before joining this board. Was it two years ago or 2.5 years ago? I've lost track. I also grew up in a sort of a historical community. My mother founded the local historic district, and my parents worked hard on a project not as big as Chastellux, but an old 18th century farm in Connecticut. And I grew up with this sort of in my blood. I worked in many house museums like the Mark Twain House, the Harry Beecher Stowe House, Chick Austin's house on Scarborough Street, which I helped to renovate, working with the archivist of the Wadsworth Athenaeum. I'm in publishing, so I'm not actually in this business. My partner works at Christie's. He's the head of sculpture and has a background a little bit like yours, Christopher. So hopefully I can make myself of some use as a sort of architecture adjacent person.
Thank you, Rob. Okay, and without further ado, let's start the meeting. I'm going to shift around. We've agreed to shift around the agenda tonight to make people who have simpler applications not have to wait the entire meeting. Before we start everybody's in the waiting room? Okay. I would just like to say to the people who are in our Zoom meeting waiting room that if you have something to say after each application, I will ask for comment and you will have an opportunity to voice any comments or questions you may have. So with that, Buckminster application, would you like to come forward? Okay, please come forward. yourself at home?
One of you have the.
Yes, going
Oh,
for
okay.
circulated previously,
Okay.
and the board has seen the sample that was.
Okay, good. I took this one from home, like you can compare the.
The application.
I know, was it issue? You can see how.
No, are these copies?
They're the
for
same,
everyone,
there's
John?
two copies. So they-
You want to share those? You can share that. Okay, well, we understand that you want to replace your roof, and we made a site visit, okay, to your place. You have a lovely home.
I mean, it's not mine, but
This is Cecilia,
Cecilia.
she is a representative
Yes.
for the property owner, they submitted an
Okay.
affidavit.
yeah, I have the. all
You're
the-
representing a lovely home, and
Thank
please
you.
convey that, to the owners. I
Thank
mean,
you.
it truly is. I live in a cedar shake shingle house as well. That's historic, and even though your house isn't historic, the lawns of it are beautiful. Do you want, did you get our comments on your application?
Yes.
Okay.
That comments tonight, yes.
So
Over
we,
here.
so we understand that you want to replace the cedar shake with
Yep.
this material from Da Vinci,
Mhm,
their artificial slate product line.
mhm.
And the measurements here, 12 by 12, are the measurements that the applicant that you're representing wishes to use,
Mhm.
correct? Okay. Feel free, to, add any comments you want to
Okay,
make.
So
but-
that was it. I went to the house.
Yeah.
Just to pick out this, like you guys can compare, the size of the. They're going to hit, you can have
Right.
idea.
Right.
And maybe what you saw there, I don't know if you have a chance to see a couple of these ones. on
Oh,
the-
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think that we're all pretty familiar with how cedar shake,
Okay,
wears over the years and the
Yeah.
issues with cedar shake. Frankly, I don't think that we're sure that this is the answer.
okay.
Okay, the scale of the
Mhm.
panels here don't match the scale, certainly, of the house.
Mhm.
And the roof is a very, very prominent feature. When you drive in, that's really what you see.
I
And
understand,
the
yeah.
different elevations.
And do you guys have any list of any kind of size that will be, acceptable to the project? Like you have a list or any kind of
Well, I would, certainly, you could also ask the person who is doing the roof, okay, to come up with alternatives.
you don't have
okay.
any list of materials or not materials, but so I need to ask the person that is doing the roof, you say?
Okay, we have our design guidelines, which have information,
Okay.
and we can give that to you. But I think, and John Ledwith had mentioned, that he would be willing to give you information
Yes.
on cedar shake. I
Oh,
think,
that would be great.
right.
You can give me the information. Yes.
Okay, so we understand the issues with cedar
Mhm.
shake and we understand why you want to replace it.
Mhm.
But cedar shake, has a 15 to 19-year lifespan, for the most part. And there are ways of installing cedar shake that, ensure, longevity. And I'm not sure quite, how the cedar shake was done before or whether, a clear sealant was put on it that would further,
Mhm.
protect it and ensure longevity.
Mhm.
So these are questions that, maybe you could get answers for that would make your search for an acceptable roof
Thank you.
substitute
Yeah.
easier.
Okay, I understand.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else to add?
Does anyone know the possible natural alternatives offhand of the cedar shake that we've used in the park?
I know that there's a couple of houses with some materials that we can look into
Yeah.
and find if there are any artificial, slate. Your person that you're, the
Yes,
owner that
want-
they want an artificial
Yes,
slate.
You're right.
Okay, well, there's a wide variance of products on the market.
Okay.
Okay, so again, I would go to your roofer
Okay.
of choice and ask.
And that's about, okay.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right. Well, thank you so much for
Oh,
coming tonight, okay?
Thank you, thank
We
you.
look forward to getting a beautiful roof on your
Oh,
house.
thank you. So I
Okay.
can take this one with me, right? I take this one too?
Yes, I think you can take that, okay?
Okay, thank you.
It's just important to remember that, we want the shingle size to be, in the same sizing that is compatible
Sure.
with the architectural shingle vocabulary.
Mhm.
House.
Okay, thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. And you're going to give me.
I will email them.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Okay, good night. Thank you.
Hi,
Yes.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you for coming. Malloy, you're up. Karen Arendt, how have you done
Hello.
all these years?
Very good, thank you. And yourself?
Busy.
Yes,
Making the world a better place with all your planting.
thank you.
Okay.
So should I put one plan out? And if you can't see it, I have another. I'm gonna go to L2 to discuss photographs.
Did you have a chance also to read our comments?
Well, first I'll just.
Karen?
Yes.
Okay.
So Tiffany recently purchased the property and
Welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
yes,
How long? have you been
she,
here?
I purchased it a year was August.
Okay.
One of my dog's favorite walks, runs was to go down, and he would always sit at the doorstep of your house. You know, when Tabitha owned it, it was really crazy, but it was wonderful. It's a very sweet home.
so yes, she recently purchased it and the reason for the fence is she lost a dog and she wants to put another a fence in to enclose her dog for her dog. And when she got here, she said it was like a falling down, dilapidated chicken wire type fence. And she does have photographs of it, which
Can we see that?
we didn't bring, but
Oh.
we will. Josh, that was there was an existing enclosure.
So it still requires bar review.
Yes,
Move on.
so, yeah, we're moving on. So Tiffany had somebody that she knows. In the style that she prefers. And it's really not visible. Because this house here, these aren't windows, these are vents. So this is, and it's downhill, so you can hardly see it from the house. From the road, this is the part you see, but we're proposing all these plantings so that it would be not visible from the road.
So you'll
Plus-
have like clematis and things. climbing
Yes,
through it?
yeah, that's what we want.
Are they perennials too? I mean,
There's-
is this-
There's
you know,
evergreens, they're gonna be boxwoods, and we have a few choices, but they're all evergreens for a shorter evergreen for the foreground, a taller evergreen for the background, but clematis and vines to cover over the fence and make it gardenish. So that's the intention.
And what about on the sides?
On the sides,
Can
we
plantings go there as well?
can do.
To cover it?
yeah, We can do some
I haven't
plantings.
gotten to landscaping yet, but it's on the
I'm
list.
sorry, I can't hear
I
you.
haven't gotten to landscaping yet, but it's on the
Well,
list.
this is why you have her. I
Exactly.
mean,
It's not the best.
So yes, we can show a few plantings in this area. She would prefer, so someday, and we probably should, I just became aware that she'd like to paint the house more of a gray tone house and would
that
like.
was one of our questions, why it was painted gray
Yeah.
and all that. So when do you plan to paint the house gray?
It's not gonna be within the next, probably in a year or so.
Okay,
And when you say gray, you mean the field would be gray, the stucco field, and then the timbering would remain, or would that?
The brown, I would paint
The
like a
timber
gray,
gray.
yeah, like
Okay,
a gray
and then And
Tudor.
then the stucco would remain
Correct.
pale, okay.
Yeah.
Pale cream or what?
Yeah, exactly.
Lovely.
okay, we made a site visit, as you know, and I hope you had a chance to read our comments, okay? We are concerned about the style of the fence being incongruous with, the verticality of the timbers and the style of your Tudor home.
Right.
Also, a dog fence, there's a lot of openings and gaps there. And frankly, I don't think it would prevent a dog from escaping. I would like you to consider, possibly, changing the style of the fence. You can keep the vertical posts, which are the most expensive parts of the fence, and changing the horizontal slats, because as they stand now, as I'd mentioned, they're incongruous with the style of the house. And also, they're also varying widths. of it and gaps. So I'd like to have you consider that.
Yeah, I mean, the larger gaps that are there currently is because we had to stop work on the whole
Yeah, but there's some
process.
gaps. You have some stone outcroppings too, where there's gaps a dog or anybody can easily get through.
She's gonna
Yeah.
put a fence. They stopped because they had to stop. It's gonna be enclosed. They're
So
gonna
there
go
will-
around the,
There will be no gaps whatsoever.
right,
As there are currently.
exactly. Yeah, you can see on the plan here.
So that's on the
So-
first page, yeah.
So
Or
it's
split.
right here, there's a gap. Right here, there's. Oh, no, that's a stone wall, but this is right here. This will be filled in from here to here. This will be filled in from here to here. And then there's a gap here. They just have to work it around the tree. And fill it, and I should have showed it filled. I can show it like new fence here, and new fence here.
Sorry, could I ask, there is a neighbor here, no?
There's a neighbor down here.
And they can't see that?
So we have, I don't think so. I'll show you. So let's go back to the pictures.
Quite a
Yeah,
bit
it's a little
higher
bit
up.
lower down.
It's lower, it's quite a bit lower. And you can't. So,
Yeah, there is some woods between the property.
there's signature, so that I split the area for which the generator is going to go. And so it's looking down here is the neighbors. And it's over here. Over here, we have some more pictures of the property looking down. So this
But you're
is,
going to be doing enclosures for the generator.
we
and-
would prefer not. You really can't see the generator. You can hardly see this house. This is from,
What is your reason for doing that?
and the reason
Right here.
also,
Wait, excuse
we're gonna be proposing planting.
Planting as a screen for the
Yeah.
generator?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because, and so we got, sorry, we have to keep flipping. We have so much information on here. The generator's right here. A fence would go all the way out here because of the like, for the requirement for us to have non-combustible materials. And it kind of takes up so much space. It's so ugly. So we thought planting would be so much nicer. Plus, you don't see it from the road. These pictures up here illustrate what you see from the road, and you really don't see anything. You don't see the air conditioner unit that's there. You don't see, you will hardly see the generator.
Karen, these are boxwood, is that what this is? Or what?
So these would be, so there's, I wanted taller right away, so I put Japanese Pieris. Unfortunately, the only other native plant that would survive is an American holly. So that's an option. We definitely want to use American hollies here.
Mhm.
Even though the woods are so thick, American hollies would bolster screening as well. I was just afraid that American hollies might get a little too large over there. So a deer resistant, as you know, there's not very many
Purist does
choices.
well.
So Pieris works very well,
Dog,
and it's
a dog.
doing,
very
dogs are good too, but
resistant.
the Pieris
Small
is
dog.
doing.
They are.
It's
My
doing-
little dog.
Oh my
keeps
gosh,
them
you
away like crazy.
you
I
can,
love that.
little
Yeah.
dogs can.
I think I'm the only one in the park that has hydrangeas that have not been attacked.
So
in
there's a
the-
lot of Pieris on the property, so that leads me to believe it'll do well.
A lot of what I'm sorry, I missed
Pieris
that.
Andromeda,
Okay.
Andromeda. This is,
So it would be just, I'm sorry, it would be completely enclosed by plantings.
eventually, and from the road, you
How-
don't see it at all.
Okay, so
So
are,
it's hard to get really big plants because of the
say-
pandemic. Like
that's
everything's
subsided
sold out.
now,
Yeah, but the plants haven't grown up to take the place of all the big ones that are gone.
right?
It's pretty hard to find decent sized plants reasonably, like, and when I say reasonably, I mean hundreds of dollars, like for, just to get an Andromeda this big and buy one, it's like $100-something. So, I mean, I don't even think. we
I
could
know a
find
lot
them
of
this
nurseries
small.
have had a lot of problems with deliveries as well.
Deliveries, and it's
Yes.
just everything big was sold out in the pandemic, and they haven't, grown the
replenished.
stock back.
Okay.
And the
Yes.
screening for the propane tank, where's the
So
propane
the
tank?
propane tank, that's the reason for all these photographs. They're gonna go on this pad right here, and I shot a picture looking towards the house. You don't see the house at all, so if you can't see it,
That pad.
can see
Is,
it
is the propane,
right here.
okay, so you're not going to bury the
No,
propane
it's
tank?
going on a pad that would be.
You
out
can
over here.
legally bury a propane tank,
Right, that was in.
and that might be more pleasant for you too.
This looks pretty rocky.
It is rocky, so that would be.
I'm
a
not sure
bit
you
of
could
a-
really, without chipping, get very.
Oh, no, you can. I've done that. In,
But this is not where your house is. I mean,
yeah, no, I know that, but I had the same
So,
subsoil.
well, we looked very hard and found like. You'll see it a little bit, but not much. And,
Where is it on the map? Sorry, the propane tank?
so propane tank on the.
Ah, okay.
And
Okay,
we'll
so
build
you
a
have-
little tiny wall to like boulders just to hold up and level the soil a little bit for this pad.
I see you have got screening around it
And then,
with
and yeah,
vegetation.
all is so
Okay.
over here. This shows what this, that dash line is where the pad is gonna go, and you can't really see it to your neighbors over here.
Okay,
I shot these pictures a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
But there's a lot of evergreens. There's hemlocks in there, which Christopher probably
For
likes.
now.
And there's a lot of nice, there's a lot of vegetation in between Tiffany and the neighbor. So that's the, so. if you wanna see it, so right, so right here, and then this is where the viewpoint I shot. And then go back to this sheet. This dashed line is approximately where the propane tanks would be, and this is looking into the neighbor's house. So you just barely see the house right here
Yeah, I think
through the
it
vegetation.
would be great if you could consider burying the propane tank. It would also be pleasing for you as
Happy to
well,
look into it, yeah.
you know, and if you can't, you can't. You've got a planting plan, okay? So, you know, but you'd have to let us know about that. Okay, so I think we've covered the propane tanks and AC unit, et cetera.
Patio extension, I think was the only other.
Okay.
part of it.
Right,
I'll show you that. I just want to make notes. Bury propane and planting for the fence. Okay. So back to the first page. So the line of our patio ends right here. She just wants to have a more livable patio, so we added a patio in here. And her backyard's all pretty flat up and down, so there's no earth, there's, just earthwork needed to,
and, okay.
and additionally, we're showing in this corner over here, in this corner here. Right now, the garbage is just sitting outside
And what would the enclosure be made of?
It's going to be a cedar enclosure, and it would be shorter than the fence. So the objective.
Can
would
you,
need
can
to
you
know.
bring us a picture next time? That would be
Yep.
great.
It's going to be
The-
custom made, but what I'll show you is a picture, but I'll put dimensions on it to
Okay.
show that it's not going to be higher than the fence.
Okay, the bluestone patio, can you describe to us what the design of that be? Is it going to be just random size, random pattern? Excuse me?
It's going to be random because it's all different sizes, so she's going to match what's here.
Okay, and
I
so,
can show you a picture of.
please,
I don't have.
I could bring it back,
I focused on all of it, but
right,
a photograph of the existing patio.
yeah. And would you just be doing it to match the existing or to do plantings in between, like now you have like a green border between?
Yeah,
stems?
so she would be, because she wants it to match, it would be hard to do plantings in
Okay.
here, so it would just match what's right here.
Okay. Okay, so before we wrap up, okay, are there any more comments on the planting details?
Oh, just, had a meeting with the DEC this morning. We were talking about the box tree moth. So watch out. There's another invasive species
Right.
coming.
Oh, gosh.
In addition to the blight, yeah.
It's
Can't you put
terrible.
up a sign saying not allowed in the park?
And do you know what's happening with the green giants now? They're dying off.
Green giants?
Green giants are,
Arborvitae or-
yes, green giant arborvitaes, 10 to 15-year-old ones on jobs that we planted 15 years
shame.
ago. They died in a matter of weeks. They have, because of the drought, they had
Okay.
two big stressors. But the thing is, the bug that's stressing them and killing them, it used to be able to be treated at a certain time because that they timed the pest management. Now that bug has the whole summer, it can,
Okay.
so I don't know if I'm gonna plant green giants anymore. Because it
Okay.
literally takes them out in like 3
I will
weeks.
say with Buxus, what I have read is that the less you prune it, the more you allow it to
Right,
grow.
you allow air to grow.
You're going.
Can't see wrong.
And there's also,
It's,
but
you're gonna
there's-
have half as much sort of threat though.
yeah, the hedging is what's hurting them.
Not less.
Okay,
And there's
does
also
anybody,
resistant ones now,
Does,
so.
do either
Anyway.
comments on the plantings at all?
And we discussed the plantings going around the side of the fence too, right? That's another thing.
Yeah, so, that's something, so
Well, I would
I think,
like you to reconsider the style of that fence. Okay, I mean, one, for the safety of your dog, two, for the harmony, okay, with, your beautiful home there. So, like I said, if you could, just have it vertical all around rather than horizontal and different widths and whatever, I'd love for you to consider that.
And just to chime in before with what you were saying, I mean, I think, every member of the board is going to have a different take. And that's the point of having a group, So my own take is that I would probably file this under a pick your battle. I think you've built a lot of it. I think that there are ways of making it cohere. I think that what you've started to do with the climbers, and there's good room to do that, is, to my eye, very promising. I would probably sort of fall in line with Christopher on the native question to the greatest extent possible. So were this to be a sufficient solution, and it might not be, but were it to be a sufficient solution, simply making it a really green fence, then maybe pick your moments where you do clematis or something that is not going to be presumably native, and find some kind of a North American grape or something that would be a good climber, or Virginia creeper, something that is wildlife friendly, that really does the job of framing, masking, and I think enhancing the space, and will provide a lot of food for the birds.
So you've got a lot of food for thought.
And I love the sound of the gray too. I think, whenever you get to that, that's going to be a great enhancement.
now,
Could be.
I have a question. This approval is good for a year, 18 months?
Building permit's good for 18 months and you can.
And it can
apply for
extend and
6
extend?
month extension.
Yeah.
So if she wanted to bring the color gray of the house, would that, should we add that into our,
Well, if you wanna go ahead
Application,
and
this
get
way we
approval, You
can-
might as well.
Yeah.
just so you don't have to
We-
come back?
I really like that show of good faith, that you would be, painting the house, the timber's gray.
Mhm.
We also have to keep in mind too precedent, when we approve things, so. So please, do you have any comments on the fence? Stephanie, I'll start off with Stephanie.
I was hoping it might be improved. And the design change, to me, it felt contemporary and kind of out of taste with that house. I love your house. It's just so beautiful. That's exactly what, to me, Tuxedo Park is. Just one delightful view after another. And I just felt, personally speaking, it was just a different flavor, sort of adding almost a different time. And we were at the site visit. We didn't want to hurt you at all, so we were thinking maybe it's not too expensive if the uprights are left,
Keep the
and
verticals.
then
Right.
maybe one can maybe just close the gaps or unify those gaps and put some end
Or
caps on it.
vertical. Yeah, a
perhaps.
little newel or
Yeah.
something on that.
You definitely can do that.
The newels would actually help to preserve those
charm.
uprights, to keep the rain out of the wood grain.
Thank you, Stephanie. Molly, any additional comment?
Nothing really additional to add. I think we've covered a lot. But I think kind of echoing for the Tudor style of the house. Bit, which would probably be
And most of all, the most important thing is to keep your body safe. All right, so we look forward to seeing you back here and moving this project forward. Thank you so much.
Mind if I keep two of the larger sets?
Yep, I got you.
Give me at least the two for reference, that's all.
I need to help you with this, darling. Okay, the next application is Turtle Point. Mr. Silvestri, please come forward. Nice to see you again.
Everybody,
Hello. Are you feeling better? You had an accident now? or-
I hurt my back and then I got COVID.
You're over that now,
I am
right?
very clear, yes.
Test
I test
negative?
the PCR and home test every day, but PCRs are all negative.
All right, excellent. Well, I'm
Like,
happy to hear
I've gone
that.
down to Panama and I got it there.
Listen, I was in an event last night in the city and many people came down,
Yeah,
tested positive today. So not me, but it is still there. All right, so first of all, I want to thank you so much for, allowing us to do the site visit. It was a pleasure, meeting with you and seeing such a beautiful property. And I really appreciate you wanting to do the very best to, restore the carriage house.
we won't restore everything, but yes.
Oh, you got a big- It's the never-ending project then, right? Thank you very much for the revised drawings that took into account some of the comments that the previous bar, had made. We really appreciate the effort. Do you have some additional questions?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have a chance to review the comments? Okay, great.
These are the floor plans. Shop rental, Wharton.
Okay,
Because you would ask to
Okay,
see.
so this is speaking to the comment of why the elimination of the corner window on the first floor and eliminating the smaller window. So this is the floor plan that shows the layout. I would understand the rationale between changes. So do you want to explain that?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Let me go to, these are the new ones?
I think they are. I hope they are. That's what I proved.
Yes. Which window were you referring to first? This one right there?
Should we start with the big picture first and before we get into the details? I think the big picture is that here's an example. This is, the standard is very high of what needs to be done in this carriage house. What you've done for the landscaping plan, it just hits all the buttons. It's fantastic.
Mhm.
I mean, and that's
Beautiful.
it's a very high standard, and that's what we're looking for with this renovation. Your neighbours, it's renovation of their carriage house. It's on the cover of a book. The standard is very high. We feel, my opinion is that what we still have here is going still in the wrong direction from when we reviewed it before. It's very hospitality type of architecture with the big balcony and the stream of windows, of consistent windows on both floors. it's taken away the charm of what the original building was. So it's, yes, we can see it's very functional from inside, the function of it, but aesthetically something that's so visible from the lake and from the road. This in my opinion, this would not work. Even though it's softened with the pergola and the burglar effect of the terrace, the windows are still huge, and
Shope feels totally, Shope Brown and Warren feels the other way, that they've done a lot of investigation on Bruce Price. They've done a lot of investigation around the park itself. And they feel that if these rough openings are the exact same size as these rough openings.
Well, I think also what Christopher is trying to convey is that you're changing the typology of the house. I mean, what was, a simple, carriage house now is becoming, a full-time lived-in home with, a much different purpose. Okay, and this house, is very visible. Believe it, this sweet carriage house is very visible from across the lake. I believe that you look at it every morning from Shasta Loop. So as Christopher said, there is a high standard here. Okay, and also I would like to point out, how does it relate to the main house? Okay,
I don't think it ever related to the main house.
I mean,
if we look at the main
well,
house,
now it's competing with the main house because you're changing the typology. Okay, the carriage house was made simple for very good reasons. Okay, to be unobtrusive and not to challenge. Okay, the architectural integrity of the big house.
So from a board standpoint, are we okay with the bottom doors?
I mean, they're already existing the way they are at the moment.
Yeah.
And because there's less glass, there's much more glass now. So it makes it brand new and modern. So anyone looking at that thinks, oh, why is there a new building? Whereas there, you go, oh, that's an old building. What was it? It was a carriage house. Oh, there must have been, one sees the history, one sees the patina. Here, it's like, why is there a new building there next to a historic
just
building?
to chime in, I fall sort of in line with this direction of comments. What I had hoped, while also recognizing that an applicant, and it's a matter of private property, may have slightly different, vision from what we would have. I think there were a lot of beautiful elements of this sort of, arts and crafts cottage, we'll call it, that were lost when you took away that sort of window that's almost a bay, this one and that one. What I had hoped at when you came last time, and I think I see you sort of inch by inch incrementally have improved it, but not from where I sit to a satisfactory point. What I'd hoped is that what you might do is show us how this new configuration with the balcony might work in a way that could retain some of the cottage-like sort of feel. Specifically, this gigantic, I don't know whether to call it a bay or what term of art you'd use exactly for it, but with that you would restore that, leave one small window here, and perhaps have one set of modest French doors coming out onto, and to try to find kind of a synthesis of what it was and this new vision for what you would like it to be. In a perfect world, to my eye, part of that program would be, as Christopher said, bringing this back so that these may be under the new porch, but would have the same kind of Munson. Yeah, it's just a little bit more elegant and classic. This does read to me as something very kind of West Palm Beach.
Well, what I think, to further, clarify, these individual openings each have their own personality.
Yes, ma'am.
They really do. They make a statement. They do. And here you lose that, personality here, by not retaining, the headers and the window configuration. I think that it would have been more true to form, and I'm happy to have this discussion with your architects, and they're more than welcome to come to the meeting, to help move this along, to incorporate more of this vocabulary here. Okay, and part of the charm of carriage houses are, sometimes their quirkiness.
Mhm.
You
Right.
know, I mean, right? I
Yeah.
mean, the different, window styles and whatever, it's a kit of parts that makes a delightful whole. Okay, so, I really think that this is an improvement over what was originally
Sure.
presented and the first revision, but we have a little more ways to go.
If I convince them to come back with this bay of windows, and possibly a door over here or a door over here. Is that
What do you mean a
something-
door? Wait, you're losing, because you pointed to this elevation.
Right, I'm saying on the top floor. They want to be able to have some type of balcony.
Well, there has to be a means of egress. And
Right, there's got to be a way to get out there.
I mean, from where I sit, I would love to see that. I mean, I certainly can't speak for anyone else, and I'm not even sure I can, until I see it, I can speak for
Mhm.
myself. That to me would be a very useful exercise, and it might bring it very, very close to what at least this particular member would feel comfortable signing off on. I don't have, I might not love the idea of this porch, but I recognize that that's a use that you guys your client is trying to get out of it. I would just like to see how that could be made to work without losing all of the charm of the original, carriage house,
Okay.
which I think
Would
right
they,
now, honestly,
another
it's happening.
consideration would be not to have a terrace on the upper level and sort of keep this vocabulary and maybe have this extended as a porch? I mean, that's another option as well.
Well, I mean, having this terrace
Like a
here
terrace.
is going to make this very dark
Exactly.
underneath. So
So,
if it was a pergola, then it would, have a decorative effect and break
or
it
if it
up a
wasn't
little
there
bit.
at all.
Yeah, I
And you
mean-
could have a porch.
Well, a pergola with a terrace or just a terrace would be
Right.
much preferable, I think, to me as well. But I mean, again, I have to
Or
imagine
no
that
terrace at all. And just have, maybe a porch here. I don't know. I mean, keeping more in lines with, the original style. These are all, if your architect could come up with
No, he's gonna-
options.
He will, and he's gonna
more
be here next time.
options, I
They
think
just
that
wanna
would
able to sit
be-
up there and look
that
out
would
over
be
the lake.
No, we
That's-
understand. We understand.
The building was a very
Listen,
dark
I
building.
live in a converted carriage house myself,
Yeah.
so I understand. But you know what? We're giving you a lot of
Yeah.
ideas to work with, and we're open. We really want you to have, the house that you're going to feel comfortable in and treasure. So we're really giving you lots of options.
Mhm.
Now, so to move on, okay.
Where's the
Anybody else
little
have any,
window?
excuse me?
Um,
Okay, well,
in
this
your notes.
here, is this a window?
That's a vent.
Okay.
That was for the.
All
old
right, so
heating
this,
system.
okay, so that's what we were confused about. And then hold on, here.
Then there was another little
Okay.
window.
And you talked about simplifying the railings here.
Yes.
There's not going to be this shiny
oh,
No.
good.
brass or whatever it is,
It's gonna be
gold coating.
Powder coated black, like the rest of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you talked about too, not doing this Juliet balcony.
Mm.
Okay, so that's
not gonna be
a
there
step in
anymore.
the right direction.
Mhm.
Okay, is there any other, let's see. Okay, do you know the date of the carriage house?
1908.
1908. And do you have any old photographs of it?
I do, but I need to get to them. So next
Also,
time
I
I
think
come
that
out,
when you
I'll
come
bring
back, it'd be helpful also to have a picture of what is existing right now.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay, all right. I had a question. Okay, well, before we move on to the landscape plan, any questions or additional comments, Stephanie?
Nothing additional, just to say that I totally love this carriage house. To me, it's the perfection of the perfect expression of arts and crafts carriage house charm. And if I was a museum curator, I'd want that as a perfect example. I think it's just adorable. And if it was mine, I would change it very, very little. And I like the idea about the light. Right now it gets beautiful light, whereas these overhangs tend to kind of shade things out and make them a bit grim. I have a big overhang like that. It's very depressing. I'm in it a lot. But so I love the idea of perhaps sitting out here downstairs and maybe just enjoying the views from within when people are up there. So I would perhaps I'm the most radical of the members. I will do whatever democracy demands.
Well,
but-
just to be clear, I totally agree, Stephanie.
Yeah.
And that would be my vision for the house too, would be to find a way, if they're open to this, of making the
I
lower
can go on
terrace,
my knees though. Should I?
but making the lower terrace the outdoor experience, with
Yes.
some kind of granite or bluestone,
Little
whatever it would be. Yeah.
Yeah.
And leave that other second floor intact. That would be ideal.
So the issue we have on the second floor is that, believe it or not, it does not get a lot of sun. It never did. It was very, very, very dark in here. That's
You
why
know,
we
I think
wanted to
would
go bigger.
also, if I might interject, can you, I don't recall in your package specifying what window you would use.
Yeah, well, there
If you
was a
could
hole.
also bring a
So-
window sample.
Absolutely.
I think that would also help
Mhm.
us, okay, in moving it forward. I
No
think a window
problem.
sample, thank you,
Yes,
would
ma'am.
be great. Anything else, Stephanie? No? Molly?
I personally also am partial to the more arts and crafts style, and I would be concerned if I were you, if the upstairs didn't get much light, to put an overhang on the downstairs also, because then the entire carriage house may, not get as much natural light as you're expecting. And I think a couple things that we had discussed being more decorative than we imagined was that kind of gold on the railing, the Juliet balcony. But I do love the kind of quirkiness of these windows upstairs. And this to me kind of looks like it just a bit of a lack of character because they're all the same size. And kind of taking away from the quirkiness of this aspect. But I think everything, and there's no contemplated change to color of trim or.
No, ma'am.
And this here, if I could chime in, this is going to, be a window box, or this was a
That was
window box? Okay, so maybe, Shop and Warren can come up with a style of window that would, achieve both things, bring in more light and retain charm.
We're gonna have to.
Another,
That's-
if I can
so the
also.
reason. This is gonna be set up for their oldest. The reason they were looking for the shade was for when the baby goes to sleep. That was the whole thing behind it. That's why they shaded it in the pictures itself.
I appreciate that. there are
But it's what it is.
umbrellas And other types of shade.
Yeah.
Let's just come back to this for a second, because if indeed, I find it hard to believe that it looks like it gets good light. But if you feel it doesn't, it's something that is very much in keeping with the arts and crafts style of 1908, would be having an open pane window on the bottom and the muntins just above. And that would add, I don't know, 15% or something more light in. I mean, that's
And you
something,
get the best of both worlds, and you would have divided light,
right.
okay, as well as more light.
And it
But
might
your
even
art-
enhance the.
But
arts and
originally, I wanted to
crafts,
do the open panes and you folks didn't like.
No,
it.
well,
Maybe
just to be
that was
clear, open,
misunderstood.
Just
if
on the
I could just, so muntins on the top.
Yep.
Open below. That's a very classic 1908 configuration.
Okay.
And it wouldn't bring in a ton more light, but there'd be a fraction. And maybe that would be a solution.
It's a fine architecture firm that they're working with.
Oh,
It
they're
really
great.
is
Yeah,
one of the
sure.
best. I've worked with them myself.
Mhm.
So they, I'm sure, will come up with
Yes, they
solutions.
will.
That will help the Mr. and Mrs.
Yes.
Yeah, just to be clear, that, we've gone, here's the project, here's the building. We've gone off on a tangent. And so it's not so much fine tuning this tangent, it's sort of coming back
Yes, sir.
and going off in another direction, to be very clear. And the last point that you'd mentioned about renovation, there's a thing in Tuxedo Park, we call it the Tuxedo Park patina.
Yeah.
And so, so it's very important that, some people get carried away of renovating and to make it look perfect and brand new, and that's
That's not what we're looking to do.
right.
We're looking to bring the entire home and property to when it was.
And I have to say, that's so clear, as other board members have already said, but I'll chime in and say that that's so clear in the landscaping.
Yeah.
The landscaping of the previous owners had done was very aggressive, very distracting. and not right for that. And I love that you're bringing it back to something
Yeah,
that is
no.
much more, not to mention more lake friendly
Yes.
with the riparian border that this man
Yeah.
feels very strongly about. So that's great. I feel like I really agree with the other board members that this component of the application is just not there. It's not doing that.
All right, so before we move on to the landscaping plan, I'd like to ask, is there anyone in the Zoom audience who has any comments on this application? Any neighbors? Anyway, because we haven't. No? Okay, has there been any letters or anything from neighbors, John, on this application?
No, neighbors were notified in November or December
Okay.
regarding this application.
All
There's
right.
been no negative comments.
Okay,
The only thing I'd like to mention, and we discussed it briefly, Edward, is I'd like to see something confirming what the setback is between the
Right.
lake and the structure.
Right.
The setback for any construction is 100 feet from the lake.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this,
I think we're 108, but
I don't know if any part of the new work is encroaching on that.
Mhm.
I just want to confirm it before we go too far.
And if
Okay.
next time, if Mr. and Mrs. Gerber want to come, so they don't have to shoot the messenger,
No,
we'd be happy to.
I'm okay with the shooting of the messenger. I have briefed them that worst case scenario, carriage house goes back to exactly what it was.
Okay,
well,
Okay,
you
and
know,
then-
let's.
So it's more, for me, the original design works better for a furniture plan. Okay, but this works better because the main home itself only has 2 balconies, one coming off the dining room and out a little balcony that comes off of the den, and there's a tiny one off the master as well. So this gave them a little more so they can sit and look out over the lake. So that's how the whole balcony thing came up.
Well, we really appreciate, the wonderful effort.
Yeah, no, and
profound
listen,
Effort that you've made. to
we
come
have
with, a
to,
couple revisions and
no,
we're
we're gonna
almost
come with more
there.
revisions. I just gotta,
So,
I gotta figure out this part with them, and I just
Well,
have to have that hard talk.
sure,
You know,
I'm sure if you go back to the drawing board with, shop, Reno and Wharton, I have every confidence you'll
Yes,
come up
ma'am.
with something that's pleasing to everybody.
Okay.
So going on to the plantings, the landscaping plans, I just had a question. You said the windblown grass is to be planted in the bluff. Are they
Mhm.
the same ones as in the legend, or are those just examples? Just for
So-
examples.
I might have been a minute premature with Old Van Sweden's landscaping plan, because one thing with Mr. Gerber is that he wants to use everything that is native to Tuxedo. It's very important to him. So there might be a couple plantings that are different.
oh, that's, if he's drunk the Kool-Aid, that's fantastic. That's all we need to know. We have confidence in what he's doing.
And frankly, you can already see that in what you presented us with.
Okay.
That was really reassuring
Yeah,
Okay.
so
in terms of natives.
Yeah, he's very,
And
it's very, very important to him, so.
But my
feel-
question though, are the plants that are going to be planted
Mhm.
the same ones that you have indicated on the plan? Or are those just
Yes.
examples of
No,
plants?
those are gonna be the plans, but
Okay.
there could be a couple offset
Okay,
that are gonna be, because they're still doing research in the park.
okay,
So until that.
But to the extent that anything's being added, it'll be more natives.
Yes, sir.
Like the
Yeah,
ones
so-
you
Yeah.
mentioned.
so no problem.
It's a win-win.
well, I think we all look forward then to seeing that revision as well.
They're working on a final of that. So maybe,
Very thoughtful. I mean, the way that you saw different micro sort of environments, it looked very thoughtfully conceived in terms of the, well-being of the plants and visual
there's a
interests.
lot of research going into
It
it,
looked like it.
a lot. So it's, they come up with Washington, D.C. and
Firm that you're.
they're Old Van Sweden.
Yeah, fantastic.
Oh, no, they're a marvelous landscaping firm, marvelous.
I do have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
I saw there's a walkway, there's like a planned walkway from the house along there, which I don't think is existing.
No, there's one.
There is, so there's no new walkway being added,
No.
because there is an area there.
So that walkway actually goes,
I don't have this one.
if you come out of the house itself, where the secondary front door,
Right.
if you start walking down the driveway, there's a little walkway that goes
Okay.
up, that goes to what used to be the old gazebo, which I'll present next time. Because I needed to, we have the pictures of the original gazebo, and we found a company in Maine that'll build the exact gazebo that was there in
I can't wait to
1900.
see that picture.
Yeah, so I'll email that out, so everybody
That's
has that.
That's
Wonderful.
good, because it looked like there was a new path on an area where a tree
Mm.
failed,
Mhm.
and there's bare soil and a lot of erosion into the lake. So that's good that there's no new path being put there.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, I mean, for as long, I'm sure they're completely aware that it is a reservoir, so riparian buffer. It's
Originally, when we found photos that originally, there was a makeshift, almost seawall around, which has been gone for, we don't know how long.
It was a retaining wall or?
Like, it was a seawall that was built on an angle up the mountain, but we
Interesting.
can't verify
Hmm.
if it was really there or not, if it was just a picture,
Mhm.
so.
Okay.
So as far as the landscaping, I mean, can we vote on that, or
No, I think
isn't it ready, or?
I have
I
to
thought this
just,
was premature.
I just want to make sure,
Well, since you're coming back anyway.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure, I know there was 2 other species of plants that they were looking into in the park,
Okay.
to make sure that that's going to be on there, so there's no,
All right.
Well,
Well, we
I mean,
appreciate that.
I think that's a fine detail that is
Okay.
unnecessary. We don't need to spend more time on
Okay.
it. I think the
appreciate that.
landscaping plan is just fantastic. So whenever we're ready to vote, it's.
What was
yeah.
the fencing contemplated again in the plans?
fencing.
I thought I saw
Is
it.
it deer
in the
fencing?
outer-
There's just deer fencing.
Oh.
Deer fencing?
So there's
Okay.
deer fencing out on the main road. That's there, that we redid all the deer fencing, but it's not,
It's probably screened because you don't.
it is, you can't see it.
Yeah.
No, you
It's
can't
behind
see
some
it, but I mean,
conifers.
we do have animals getting on the property,
Sure.
Yeah.
We saw that.
You saw that? which I can't send that picture to the family.
No, there
What
was
was it, a
a
black bear?
skeleton
because
of
it was-
deer.
Yeah, so something definitely got down there, but
Yeah, okay.
fencing wise, the only fences that are on the property, if you're facing the home, on the right-hand side,
Uh-huh.
there is a fence in the woods itself. The property line goes about 40 feet past the fence.
Okay.
And there's deer fencing on the road.
Okay, so do we feel comfortable approving the landscaping plans?
I think absolutely fine.
Okay, I would then
Yeah.
like to make a motion to approve the Turtle Point LLC landscaping plans, okay, as presented this evening on February 2nd, 2023. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there a last revised date or a date on that?
November 16, 2021.
Yes.
Oh, Miss
Now, is there
Goldberg.
a recent, is that the most recent, is this the most recent
That's the most
drawing?
recent.
Okay, so dated November 16th, 2021.
And how many sheets are in that plan?
Oh, boy, I don't think it, well, there's, as far as the landscaping, hold on, wait a minute, where is it?
It's all the history. I've seen the plan. So it's a history of
I
Tuxedo
saw
Park.
Whoopi.
Yeah. But it's the history of where the.
Yeah, he
plantings
has,
came from
he has,
in Tuxedo
A
Park.
very nice, a
Yeah.
very nice historic
I
timeline.
saw that.
Okay, yeah, and,
So
you
impressive.
know,
I think the last version of it had about 12.
okay,
sheets.
so let me look,
So
let me look.
You know, they're gonna
I
spend,
don't have my notes.
when we do start that, they will
I just
be
dated.
spending probably 6 months up here from
2021.
Washington.
Well, it starts with the site analysis.
Eric, who's the owner.
We just count, it's one. it's
Okay, wait a
one
minute.
Document that was. sent
We
to
have,
us.
we
Why
have
don't
a
count
site
it?
analysis, okay, like to make a motion to approve the landscaping plans today for Turtle Point LLC. The site analysis plan is dated November 14th, 2021. And the other drawings, 1, 2, 3, 4 drawings and legends dated November 16th, 2021. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second, okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
congratulations.
great. And that'll take some of the sting out of the other
That's what I
part.
was
No, I'm not.
And,
Bad news
Okay.
approach.
and you've got the honor of being the first approval of 2023.
There you go.
So there you
Great.
go.
No,
That's
the
a nice,
family's excited.
okay.
Family's so excited.
Me too.
To be up here and to.
Well, we were very excited about,
Yeah,
what you're
thank you,
doing and the
folks.
plans that you have. So thank you, Ed.
Would you like to?
I'll
Thank you
take
so
that. I'll
much.
take that.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll be back to the drawing.
Thank
board.
you.
Welcome to health again.
Anyone have
Yes.
any
You
comments?
said Brookfield, Connecticut before?
Bloomfield, my parents are. in
Bloomfield.
the
Who
village.
seconded the motion? I'm sorry.
I have houses in.
Thank you,
Newtown,
Desiree.
You lived in
Thank you,
Simsbury.
Desiree.
Okay, our next applicant,
Thank you. I
have a nice
appreciate it.
evening. Have a nice evening, Ed. Our next applicant is Tuxedo M&M Holdings. John, do you have another one of these? I think that it got scooped up. Comments on this?
Everything, I lost everything.
You lost everything? Okay, we can share.
The gardening lady took everything.
Welcome. Thank you for your patience.
Happy to be here. Good
Okay,
evening, board members.
yes.
Hi there.
So would you just, but would you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Todd Ernst. I'm an architect, principal of Ernst Architect PLLC, and Michael and Margie are my clients, Michael Schmidberger. And this is actually our second project with them.
Okay, wonderful. Did you do the original house here?
No, we did their apartment in the city.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's lovely. Okay, well, Michael, you're no stranger to the
No.
Board of Architecture
It's been a
Review.
long time.
So I hope you found the comments helpful.
Yes.
Okay, and so we could start to go through them. Todd, would you, okay, perfect.
We have a
Wonderful.
mini set for each board member.
I love this property.
And I have actually a site plan with the setbacks, just as a supplemental to that. Obviously, zoning is a critical element of this initial review.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so let's take it from the top here with these comments. Okay. The existing stone substrate, is that being maintained? as
It is
a-
not.
Oh, okay, good.
Like I said to Michael, we need to peel back the onion here. Peel back the onion.
Yes.
The house has some structural issues. It's been subject to quite a bit of water damage. And the substrate holding the brick and the stone is rotten in a lot of locations and also wasn't secured properly to the framing. So we need to really essentially declad the house.
Okay. Okay, and so will a mesh system? be used?
Yes.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that.
We're using it's like a modified metal mesh system using a traditional cementitious stucco,
Okay,
but with an elastomeric coating.
okay.
from
So
a
don't have
company.
to worry about ISIS.
No, it's
Good.
actually made by a company that pioneered IFAS,
Mhm.
but it's
They've
more
learned.
of a traditional system. It's actually a fireproof system as well
Uh-huh.
because it is
Oh, that's
cement based.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, good, I'm happy to hear that. Okay. You wish to use white and you have a paint color sample?
We have one, but we're going to need to do additional samples on the house,
Okay.
on the property.
Okay,
And
perfect.
Mike and Margie are thinking of going with a warmer color
Oh, happy to hear
and
that.
probably a little smoother texture. This is a little
Okay.
too coarse for them. And we're getting more samples delivered to our office.
Okay, that's great.
This is paler even than it will be, or this is about what it will be?
It'll probably be a little paler than that. That's a little saturated.
Oh, okay.
But see, these are a little cooler and gray.
Mm.
Mike and Margie don't want to go in this direction. Sure, you could leaf through those. And there's like a zillion white colors out there. So we,
White is the hardest color to choose. It really is.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
it's a very difficult
like I
color.
was saying to Mike tonight, like under fluorescent light, it's going to look totally different than on the job site.
Yeah.
So we're going to do samples on site. for
Could you let
everyone
us
to
know
review.
when that happens so we can
course.
come and take a look?
Definitely.
Okay, great. Okay.
And what
Okay.
is what's the name of that color, the warmer color?
The warmer color is fine sand,
But they're not happy with that. so they
but
can
it,
come
but
up
it's
with
a
the additional
direction,
one.
it's our direction.
So
But
you
we'll
go
do
with
variations
70,
on that option.
Yeah,
Yeah, lighten that a little bit.
that sounds
Yeah.
good.
It's a little, a large dose of it's going to be a little too strong, so we're going to tone it down a little bit.
Okay, and smoother texture.
Exactly. A little more traditional texture.
How's the stucco going to be applied?
It'll be troweled.
Love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
It's
That's
not-
Wonderful.
It's going to be hand troweled.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so you can see the layering and the craftsmanship in the application.
The integrity of a hand
Yes.
troweled finished is unsurpassed.
That's the thing with
Fabulous.
spray finishes. It looks very mechanical and modern,
Mhm.
and we're kind of going for a more, kind of craft approach to the house.
Beautiful, true custom approach.
I have
Yeah.
one question. I'm just looking through this.
Sure.
So dark bronze is not merely the color, it's also the material or no?
Steel.
Oh, it's, oh, great.
This is
Yeah.
what, the railing?
The window.
The windows, we're going, I've jumped ahead.
Yeah. let's-
Yeah, and we're going with actually a steel frame window company for a very traditional steel frame look. That's actually a modern version. It's thermally broken and complies with the New York State Energy Code. Because there's a lot of issues with steel frames that are not thermally broken with energy code compliance and also corrosion.
Okay, well, I don't want to jump around.
Sure.
and go
Sure,
out
I'm
of
sorry.
order, Okay, but just a word on the windows, Optima are top-notch manufacturer
Yes.
from Portugal.
And we've worked with them quite a bit.
Wonderful. How is delivery though?
It's a very long lead time.
So what are we now? 2 years out or not?
Not quite. I think we're like 18 months.
And is the installer still from Florida?
No, we have a local installer.
Okay,
He actually does a lot of work in New York City,
okay,
and he
that's
actually
great.
lives in northern Jersey. And,
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
Okay, well, very happy that you're using such a high quality window. Okay, so now to go back, notes 16 and 17 on page 4 out of 11, we show a different style of railing.
Correct.
So we need some clarification. On color and material.
Okay, so with the railing, above the portico, we have the railing with a kind of belly in it.
Back the portico, so the original plan was quite different, the front. And now we have this one, so this is the one.
This is the
you
one.
This is the
prefer.
one.
Okay,
Yeah.
I prefer the
There's
other
been a
one.
little bit of an evolution, and I think there's about to be a little more evolution right now.
Yeah,
So the main guardrails are just straight spindles, but then on the top of the portico, we have the kind of a little more, I would say gregarious bellied balustrades.
away from the verticality of the.
Mike and I have
style.
talked about this and we're thinking to tone it down and just do all the straight
Oh,
spindles.
terrific.
Yeah,
Great.
it does
I
seem
think,
that,
I think it adheres to the formality and like I said, of the verticality.
Right, so we'll be making that change on the roof.
Right, okay.
this entrance is, like fantastic, and then the rest is quite plain, so it kind of like sticks out a little bit too much, so yeah, to bring it down a little bit.
Yeah, I think to tone it down.
And the color?
All the steel will be painted black, but it'll be a matte black.
Okay, painted matte black.
Yes,
And the material?
steel.
Steel, okay.
And everything's hand painted.
Will you be happy to know steel prices are coming down, Michael?
That's true.
Yeah, that's what I do. So,
And we
yeah,
can actually get steel.
yeah. I know. Okay, painted matte black. Okay, so moving on to the exact style and color of the front door.
Okay, and that's still
There's an
in-
example.
in design development and
There's an example that is, it is glass and iron, iron.
wrought iron.
Wrought iron, but which will be in that scene, but Margie and I have not, finalize that, and that's gonna take a little while. I'm gonna have to come back with it, but
Okay, you had a picture
Yeah.
of the Frelinghuysen, the Dom residence house. So
Yeah.
if that's what you're seeking to
yeah,
emulate,
something like
but
that.
that's very nice.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna emulate, but the
Pattern,
pattern.
which part are you emulating the frame?
Example
The-
21.
The door.
Oh, thank you very much. The
You're on the wrong drawing.
which,
This one here, page
Okay.
10 of 11.
In examples. And
oh, I see. And
Right, but-
which part are you trying to emulate?
well,
The actual
the
door.
the door.
Oh, I see.
The door itself,
Fantastic.
but the design of the iron isn't final, meaning.
Right.
That's essentially, but the patterning of the iron is not final.
And you found a good source for this?
No,
Oh,
no, we haven't done that yet. Margie and I are still talking about what we want it to look
that's
like.
so exciting. If you can find someone who can.
We actually have artisans in the city that make these type of doors for us.
Yeah.
Stephanie, didn't you
Yeah.
say that you were in touch with someone?
What we do is we work out the design with Mike and Margie, and we print full-size templates,
Trying to get.
and they use it for bending the shapes.
Oh, I see.
They
So that would
actually
be
put
fun.
like pegs in a board and hand bend the shapes and then tack weld, and it's really
Well,
amazing.
we like the direction.
Okay.
So we
Great.
encourage you to continue the design development of that. I just want to mention also
Don't like that.
columns.
Not so
Yes,
much.
I saw the columns
Points
on
for
that. There will be
craziness.
emphasis on the columns for sure.
No, we've been looking all around Manhattan
There you
at
go.
doors.
Oh, I
This is
know
a-
that one.
I know exactly where that's
Yes,
located.
No, no. it's-
Yeah, they do marvelous things at Halloween.
Yeah, there's some really interesting, so we're looking around a little bit. We'll come back.
Tom Wolfe had something funny like that. That's not his story, is it?
Okay, now
I
to
don't
move
know. It's
on,
the-
Yes.
The
the
writer.
columns,
Sorry, no, just to
Seven.
finish with the,
Maybe Tom Wolfe.
with the wrought ironwork,
the-
the style of it, don't get too decorative and Beaux-arty when the style of the rest of it is different
Right.
from the style of the rest of the house, yeah. So it's, keep it a little bit, sober and beautiful.
I think that, you're targeting the Frelinghuysen
Yeah.
doors, to move in the right direction.
Yeah, close to that is what we're looking at.
I just want to make sure that the columns,
Yes.
okay, you strike me as a very good architect, so they'll have emphasis.
Yes,
Thank
definitely.
you.
Otherwise, they look too clumsy.
Okay, you're not going to do this square though, right? What is this?
That's a pilaster back against the house.
Right. Okay,
Yeah,
so you will be doing the columns or not?
yes.
Okay, so when you come back, you'll have a revised drawing.
Yeah, and we'll have,
showing
we'll
that.
have a detailed blow up of this whole area
Okay.
for everybody.
Is it similar? Is this why you show this picture also, or is it just for the door? Were you also thinking of these columns as an example?
Well, there's just the columns in particular, not for those side pilasters. Those are way too chunky.
Yeah,
So
Like we-
I gotta make a note.
Yeah, we want it to be, strong and simple, but still elegant.
okay. Let me see. Your choice of Bedford stone, the Adirondack granite, as veneer
That's
skirting,
for our water table, yeah.
right? And also, I think it's a great choice, as is the ash granite on the door and window headers and sills on the lower level.
Window head is a bit more substantial, do you think?
Page 3 of
Sills are the-
Okay.
Lakeside spec.
Window headers. Christine, above the window or below? Above.
You mean the lintel or?
Oh, yeah. In the rendering, I know they're not reading really very strongly, but
We can do a blow up.
enhance that.
Well, it also
Okay.
Okay, sure.
that would aid in that. Where are we talking? Where are we?
I think it was this,
Yeah,
Oh,
I
these
see.
ones.
the headers on these, it's looking a little too punched and modern.
Where?
so-
Yeah.
That is,
Where
So
were we
the
talking?
example.
This is an example, it's not the
example
house, but
number
Right.
5.
5, right.
Go to example
Right.
5.
On
And then
page-
just make a note too. So you want more than an example
Wait a
5?
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Exactly. So where, are you talking right here?
Yeah.
Christopher?
Yeah.
I know that that's a sample, but on this drawing here, where's your concern about the headers being.
It would be the headers on these openings
Right
across the
here.
base.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And you know what, next time I'm also gonna bring architectural elevations, not just
Okay,
renderings.
Scale.
Right, because then you can really see precisely what it is without any interpretation.
Yeah.
Right, we wanted in this meeting to know we were in the ballpark.
Right,
And
moving in the right direction.
And do
Yes.
more work.
I have another question, which is on the third floor, the windows feel like they're crowding the corner a little bit.
Well, yeah, there's some comments that
Oh,
that
did we? Oh,
address
I'm
the
sorry.
parapet
I jumped.
on that.
Oh, okay.
Just, I guess we can jump ahead for that, but this here, okay, doesn't marry well with these windows. And I was wondering if you would consider like doing like a 9-inch parapet and maybe doing a flat roof there. Also, I'm concerned about, I would like clarification on this, but the standing seam roof, what material is that going to be? If it's copper. Okay,
Copper.
so, you know, that's lakeside. So that is something to consider, you know, for glare and just.
It was actually gonna be a lead coated copper.
Lead coat.
So it's a very dull, subdued
but-
finish.
That's what we
Alright.
have on our house.
Okay,
I
yes.
think we have a
Right.
photo of it.
That is acceptable, just,
And
you know,
You know, something kind of like this, like a,
but you see my point here, how suddenly now these bays are sort of out of, you know,
yes,
this thing.
yes.
So I think
And
that
I think I'm catching,
Should you make it a shallower roof, Paolo? Or-
yeah, like if
right.
you have a 9-inch parapet,
Right, right.
okay.
I
here.
disagree. I love this. This adds a break to the rigidity of the house. It adds an element to it. So having these as copper that would patinate slowly to the green, well, I think would be a wonderful complement to the green of the roof. I just saw a house in Berlin outside the Botanic
But
Garden.
the lead
that-
copper
I
doesn't
just saw a house
patina green.
in the Botanic Garden in Berlin that had the same green slate roof, and it had an addition with the copper roof next to it. It looked fantastic.
well,
Okay, but-
I'd like to offer up the suggestion that bring back the architectural elevations with color renderings.
Mhm.
That'd be great.
Because the idea too was to kind of break up the materiality of the facade. So it didn't seem too overpowering that there's a layering of types of materials.
Well, on this, okay, facade, you have a lot of glass, okay, so the
That is
facade
true.
is broken up,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
So I think if you come back with options, parapet option, something else,
Yes.
that would be great. Stephanie, do you have any comments, and Molly, on this aspect before we move on?
Well, I do just want to finish the thought, though.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
thought you did.
well, I don't know if we're saying
I
exactly.
was catching
I
on
mean,
your thought.
your valid point was also valid, but I think different from what I was trying to get at, which is that the third floor windows, the very top of, they're really pressing right up against the dentailing on the cornice, and it feels cramped.
And
to
I
my
think
eye.
you were
It's a
on the, you're
rendering.
both on the same kind of vein where the copper is pushing up into the windows and the windows are pushing up into the soffit. And
So if you
that,
solve one problem, you might be able to solve.
yes, exactly, because the soffit at the underside of the roof is basically an existing condition
Mhm.
that we could probably, you know, kind of nuance a little bit. So there's a little more, like we said, a little more structure. Like doesn't look like it's disappearing into the soffit, but it looks like it's supporting the soffit.
I would love to see.
Yeah, yeah. So it looks structural and not like it's defying gravity.
And frankly, you know, I wouldn't even mind seeing an iteration or two with a slightly chunkier, beefier dentailing. But I mean, there's different, they vary from drawing to drawing here. So I'm not quite sure which ones.
That's why I think the architectural drawing will really, you know, there's some nuances in a rendering.
Yeah, this is the
The-
problem with rendering.
The 2D
They can't
architectural
be
drawing, you
taken
can really
Literally.
see
Literally.
precisely
Literally.
And the color
what we're doing.
is really helpful too.
On that point of Rob's, with the first rendition where you had dormer windows, I like that aspect because it brought the eye up and elevated and made it sort of hid that, you know, problem that, you know, you're stuck with.
Yes.
because, the way the house was built. What was your reasoning for taking the dormers away?
Margie.
Margie, yeah.
Fair enough.
Margie.
Yeah, I still wanted to have a
I-
job and Mike wanted to have.
And I wanted to have a marriage, so
Oh,
I put them in.
you know what, that
Yes.
privilege that over the other.
Yeah, exactly. I put
Right.
them in and then she said she
Understood.
didn't, yeah. Most of what I did, she was very happy with. She was not happy with that.
She gave us a lot of leeway,
Yes.
but you know, when she says something, we listen and
And I
Happy.
don't mind sort of your proud sort of expanse of that, very shallow cable.
Okay,
Oh,
So
I-
Stephanie, do you have any comment on that?
Found it quite, I like the simplicity of this side, and I found this side quite dense, especially with very large garage, that's almost the height of the house. So I felt it was quite full.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mhm.
was, personally speaking, I would,
And then we're talking about
yeah,
this. Do you
yeah,
have any
it's
comment?
the density of that.
Okay.
If it could just be lightened a little bit. Also, I don't really quite understand the rusticated aspects where they
Yeah.
go around this window. I'm not quite understanding whether it's working towards the arts and
Wanna share
crafts
here?
or
Can you see?
towards the Mediterranean. It's I kind of
It's a
not
little more
quite-
Mediterranean,
not
our
quite
approach.
sort of getting it yet.
It's kind of,
Oh, look
our
at you.
inspiration was more like the sort of Italian Renaissance revival, like a little
Mm.
Tuscan feeling, we have this property that it swoops down into this kind of meadow, then comes back up on a ridge and then ends into this, cascades into this lake.
Mhm.
And we wanted to have, the house is currently on like a little bit of a bluff on that retaining wall, but we wanted to kind of unify that whole edge because there's remnants of the original Juilliard
That's right.
mansion landscaping there, which
Oh,
absolutely does not work with the current house.
Right.
So
And
we
it's a
wanted to
more
kind of
rustic
regrade
flavor,
that
yeah.
and get it to sit on this, like a plinth or a plateau. But I understand what you're saying about it's dense because everything is connected and there's no like air in between, like visually, there's not enough breathing room.
But then, but the original house was long and dense. And so what happened is they took off the ends and put a square, took the center square and kept that.
Mhm.
And so you have this block sitting on this long elongated bluff. And what we did in putting the garage and the house and the trellis is kind of connected back to the original footprint of the Juilliard house, which is the way it sat on that bluff. Yes, it's different pieces. It's not all one piece, but it sort of now follows the original house's, site on the bluff, which we thought worked.
In the Juilliard house, it kind of broke up its linearity by its geometry. It had some appendages that had little rotations in it and some porches. And, we're trying to be sympathetic with that original architecture, but with what we're kind of stuck with,
Yeah. But we're working, well, yeah.
I mean, not to use stuck as a
No.
negative word. It's our
Okay.
starting
Oh,
point.
yeah, right.
Okay, let's, since we were talking about original parts of the property, the balustrade, is it your intention to keep the wooden
100%.
balusters?
And
Okay,
restored.
and
Well,
restored, okay,
it-
great.
Yes, so keep not so much because it's rotten and unsafe. Restore it, yes. So
Replicate,
so it's Douglas fir. We're going to have new spindles made and new pieces to it because there are whole sections that are completely missing.
Mhm.
And then there are other sections that are rotten, where they are going to fall. And so we're going to restore it to what it looked like originally,
Beautiful.
but it's new wood, so
Yeah.
it's not old wood.
Replace.
I know.
And those
I would have
balustrades,
liked to really restore it the way we did the boathouse.
Right.
Right.
It's gone beyond.
Right.
So-
Well, I think it's amazing that you're doing what you're doing with.
We wanted to keep
limitations.
that, we wanted to keep that element, yeah.
Yeah,
And
there's
we have
something-
restored the wall. We have,
The retaining wall that the driveway goes on.
yeah, it had to be, what do they call that, pointed?
Repointed.
Pointed, we had it repointed.
Oh, good for
So we've
That must
gotten
have been a
that
big
complete.
job.
It was.
Oh,
So we've
Yeah.
done
It's a big retaining wall.
Speaking of the retaining wall.
Yes.
To be erected, you'll do a sample for us to come. up with that?
Definitely.
And please do the sample with respect to the Sung Schmidberger budget, that it can be incorporated into the wall.
That's what we always do.
Okay,
An
good.
in situ mock-up.
All right, that would be
oh,
great.
you're Margie's husband.
Yes.
And,
Everybody does that.
I've met you at.
but the point about the existing fence, it has rusticated pilasters like every 15 feet. And we're kind of riffing off of that rustication for the base of our house as well to kind of ground it. So we're kind of connecting back to some remnant of what was there, which was,
We're talking
Really-
lakeside, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so moving on.
But sorry,
Okay,
no,
down.
finishing with that. Okay.
Oh, no, you finish it up. And then I want to, one more last thing.
This second iteration of that wall is much less. You have, because before it was like a fortress.
Yeah.
You have brought you're bringing the land, the soil up to it, so you're adding, and then will you have some vegetation in front to soften it, do you think?
Definitely. We'll have something softening the base. And then the other thing we did too was the actual balustrade. We opened it up much more and it's much like lighter and, with metalwork instead of all stone. Kind of reduce the height and in any kind of peekaboo view you get from the lake, it'll look much more kind of transparent.
And if you plant sweet bay magnolia there, look at the most beautiful
And
aroma.
just
I love
one
magnolia.
last thing before we move on. So this looks great to me for all the outside work, and it looks like it would be very sympathetic with the existing stonework. This looks problematic to me for something that's going to be. Assuming this is what you're imagining, I don't, this is one. Page 3 of 11.
So 4 is problematic, you said?
Well, to me, I don't think on a building, if we are going in an historicist direction, which we are, right? And there is a house that you're replicating as like a 1910 Italianate house, having dry laid, sort of rock wall attached to the building, I can't imagine a precedent for it, but I'd be eager to see one if you have one. I might suggest that they're veneering, that 2.5-inch veneer with, it's masonry that's fixed. And I
No,
think
I like it very much. I
and it's
mean,
come-
Dan showed it to me.
Okay,
so-
and it's come together very well.
Okay.
I imagine, given what I see here in this program, that it would work well for you too.
Okay.
I'll go back and look at
Yeah,
it.
this is a little more organic.
And we're using.
And this is a
Dan's-
ashlar.
So Dan gave us.
So the more organic, the better.
Got it.
The more organic.
He's
the
a local
better.
boy, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so just Desiree's back. Desiree.
Hello.
She's taking minutes. It'll be easier for her to take minutes if we somewhat keep to the order here. So the comment number 8, the pavers around the site and pool are shown as bluestone. Would you consider granite pavers?
Definitely.
Okay, because for
Make the change.
the reasons I say, great. The bluestone gets intensely hot,
Nope.
as you
Yeah,
and
you're
your
just-
kids know.
I would say there's also less slippage on granite,
Okay.
depending on
Yeah.
the finish, but.
And then number 9, the clarification needed on the, what is the color and the size of the gravel to be used in the driveway?
It's a pea gravel.
Gravel.
1/4 inch.
Yeah, about a 1/4 inch range. This is an image, but we can get a sample of it.
Kind of a mixed. so
Yes.
not-
Right.
Yeah, a sample would be great, actually.
No, I think we have to show it to Mike and Margie, before we buy.
Well, if you have to show it to them. Okay, we covered number 10. Okay, so on 11, okay. Let me see. Okay, the garage. Let's move on to the garage. So, yeah, on page 5 out of 11. Oh, nope, sorry. That's not it. The garage. Okay.
Okay, just on page 11.
I think so.
Yeah, I think 11 shows it the most from a kind of bird's eye perspective.
Okay, the, okay, the eyebrow, okay, arch, window, I think is in stark contrast, to the formality of the house.
Okay.
So if you would consider marrying that more, and
Square
the
it off.
slanted timbers, I think would look better as vertical.
Okay.
Okay.
And I don't know what color you were considering painting the timber panels, but,
We haven't really gotten into
Okay.
those colors yet.
so just so I understand too, so you're entering design development or at the end of a design or halfway through? Okay.
We're ending design. We're actually very far along with our interiors.
Okay.
And
Story.
yeah,
Okay,
but Margie works very quickly, and
Okay.
we are really kind of almost neck and neck between the architecture and the interiors.
okay.
this
So
point.
anyway, all right, thank you for that. Then what is the material for the roof of the garage? Again, is it the?
It's going to be a lead coated copper.
Lead coated copper.
Right.
Standing seam?
Yes.
Okay, and then, will the pool, okay, just to jump ahead, be visible from
No.
East Lake Road? No, the pool is not going to be visible.
screened.
It's going to be screened with,
What do you, conifers? What do you? call
Yeah.
it? See-
Conifers.
Right, you've got drawn here,
Yeah, okay, then that's,
which we just learned. Scary
Yes.
things about.
But definitely the idea is to screen the pool from the road, but also for privacy.
and then, thank you. And then looking at the area view number 3, you're moving the chimney. Now I can imagine, out of symmetry with the other one, that's because of some interior
it
plan.
is.
Correct.
Can you tell us about that?
It's my study. So I want the fireplace in my study, and it's a very long, in the middle, then to try to divide it, we'd be dividing it right through the fireplace. It's just in the wrong place to make that side of the house work. And because we have a garage there, the asymmetric chimney won't be seen. There's no view that you can see the asymmetric chimney from. Because when you look at the house head on, the chimneys line up. If you try to move to the side, you're
garage will
in the
clip the
garage,
view.
you're in the
Yes.
garage, so you won't see it.
I
So,
love the asymmetry.
so-
That's
I think-
great.
So when
Yeah.
we all come and visit and we pull in, we're gonna go, "Oh, it's not in symmetry." I just,
You want-
it's a joke.
Yeah. You won't-
Okay.
you won't-
It actually, sometimes if it's asymmetrical yet balanced, it can be nice too. It's one of those
I
things
like
that
the
not,
quirkiness, I get it.
I like it
But you
too,
know what, if you could just show me the interior plan that
definitely.
justifies that, that would be
Just-
great.
And the thing about the current interior plan, not that there's anything great about it, but this side of the house is so long and narrow that we had to make these adjustments to make the rooms usable.
Right.
Like, it's a giant square of this house, and it's
Right.
very awkward plan wise. But I think we've done a lot with it. And
Yeah,
This
but
is
we
one
have
of
it, we have it done. so
Yeah.
I can show it to you.
Okay, and then just the decorative detail on the chimney, that's gonna be stucco, that's
yeah,
different material? Okay. Yes, okay, great. Okay, then moving on to 12, the north side of the main house, page 11. What is the material of the pergolas?
we were thinking cedar.
Yeah. We have
Like
our
a-
current
a
house,
natural
pressure
cedar.
treated.
Okay.
Pressure treated cedar.
Sure. And are plantings being contemplated to go on top of the pergolas now?
No,
No.
but do you mean like a vine that would crawl up it?
Wisteria or, yeah,
American wisteria.
yes.
That would be-
Yes,
well,
native-
if-
Native
if,
American
yes, 'cause
wisteria.
We have that on our current pergola at our house. So
Right.
if there was something, that's what it would be.
Or grapes.
Or grapes. but-
Oh, God, the birds would have a heyday.
Yeah, but if it is, it would, but yes. If
So
Not.
I currently no, but in the
if-
future possibly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an opportunity. We really need to get further into our landscape
Live in-
design.
live in the house.
Yeah, see what it does. Yeah.
Okay, same on the relocation of the east chimney, we've already done that. Okay. How big is the pool?
It's 18 by 38,
Okay.
which is slightly smaller than the typical pool we usually do. 20 by 40.
Right. Okay. And what are the materials for the pool itself? And the pool surround, what type of pool?
Well, the perimeter was going to be the bluestone paving, but we're going to change that
Okay,
to the, the
Granite.
Bedford granite. And we were thinking for the interior, like a deeper blue color, like a Marsite,
okay.
deep blue, like a
Marsite.
mountain color.
Is it gonna be salt water or?
I'd like it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only problem with salt water is that it really eats up the tanks and stuff. So it's a maintenance issue,
Yeah.
but it certainly is a lot healthier.
Right.
Yeah.
you
Than
know?
chlorine.
Okay.
But it's illegal to have salt water.
Oh, yeah. It's most of my clients have salt water now,
Certainly New
But
York
truth be
State.
told, they always put in a tablet of chlorine, don't they?
just to
Yeah.
make sure.
Okay, what was the material again? The inside?
Marsite
Marsite,
plaster.
got it.
And we're going for like a deeper blue, not like an aquamarine Caribbean, but more of like a
Nice.
mountainy kind of.
Got it. Okay, and you said cedar for the pergolas. Okay, the south, page 8 of 11, the southwest corner, move on to that. Okay. Okay, I think you said about the color of the railings, they're gonna be painted matte black steel,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yeah.
And these umbrellas that are shown, are they?
They're portable.
So that's just for a rendering?
Yes.
Yeah, it's-
Okay, so I'm just gonna ignore that. Okay. And then light fixtures, have you contemplated on, because you show light fixtures here?
We have started our lighting design and we're
Okay.
thinking like sort of traditional lanterns,
Okay, so you'll bring us,
samples.
yeah, okay, great. Okay, lanterns. Bring sample. Okay,
And very subtle landscape lighting.
You know,
Yeah, just
Well,
everything very
I'd
subtle.
like to see what you have for landscape lighting. I mean, we don't, as you know,
I
design
know.
guys like
No light
the house,
pollution.
like the house,
No.
you know, lit up. I believe we have a lighting law.
We're lighting just like
Okay.
a walkway in the garage so they
And
can,
we also don't want it to look like an airport runway.
Right.
understood.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll come back with lighting.
yeah,
but-
all
but
right.
We understand.
That's further. Okay, and I think we've covered everything else. Well, this is so exciting. Does anybody have any comments, any further comments?
Getting back to Stephanie's point about the lake elevation.
Yes.
So if you look at page 11, on the aerial view 1 or whichever, two, the aesthetic challenge that I have is this sort of gaping massive windows in the middle. And I'm wondering, I mean, I like the one on the ground floor, the one that's recessed with the pergola, the sort of curved pergola on the middle floor. I'm wondering if there's anything that can be done with that, like expanding the pergola or something downwards or something, so it softens it, so it's not just a huge orifice that's gaping. That it can be sort of.
I think we could architecturally treat that with maybe more defined pilasters within the glazing system.
Right.
So it doesn't look industrial.
Right.
It looks a little more
I agree.
supported and kind of
I think it would really help all of us to see the architectural drawing.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah,
I-
because the
I really
rendering, you
do.
do tiny renderings and it's hard to
Yeah,
get a sense. And if you see a 2D elevation, you
yeah.
can actually scale it and understand the proportions.
That would soften it, and then the actual maybe possibly a wood part
Right.
coming down.
So
you know,
it's-
it's
So it looks like it, again, it's supported.
right,
Like,
exactly.
It's not
Right.
defying gravity.
Right.
It's not a
Yeah.
cantilever.
I do have to say, I think it's interesting, you know, the vocabulary that you use, sort of, you know, the inside out, you know,
Well,
style. So-
we're very focused on bringing the outside in. Because when Mike and I first went to look at the property, you know, we were just blown away by the site and, you know, really turned off by the house.
Really.
And but the thing is, like, you want to embrace the site and it's your major asset. The house is secondary. And the house didn't address
When they put up a huge barrier to the outside with the giant steps and the
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was very-
corporate porch. and
Right, it
that's-
was-
We pulled that all off.
it really was like
bring everything closer to
enhance the
house
vibe of the whole
itself.
thing. It's like purging.
And
And
we have a much smaller deck as a result, but it,
Mhm.
you know, but you don't have literally 15, it was more than 15 feet
Right.
between.
It was
you
so
know,
grim,
it Just,
yeah.
of this
Yeah.
ridiculous construction,
Yeah.
you know, it was like an experiment that just was blocking the
yeah, it
house
didn't work.
from the lake,
Yeah.
you know, we just, now we're trying to let
I'd
it,
say too that, you know, you're really going to have to contemplate, you know, a contractor who really knows his stuff to build this. This is complex.
oh, yeah.
This is complex, you know, so anyway, well, listen, very exciting.
Sorry,
I'm sorry,
one
go
other
ahead.
point. The on the same page, aerial 2, the sort of the grand sort of stairwell.
I think we're gonna just have steps that cascade down and some open handrails.
Uh-huh.
So
Be
it's
much
not
more
like,
natural.
you know, this kind of trough, it's
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
flowing into the landscape.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's just a struggle of trying to render in a computer, whereas if we did it by hand or something, it would.
Right.
Okay, and so just the last comment was what we talked about before, colored, you know, architectural drawings that better show the details. So
You got it.
this renderings
Yeah.
is so misleading. Well, thank you so much.
I have one question.
Yes.
On the front. The front windows. I have two.
I think they're right behind.
Just there you go. Okay, Page 10 of 11. The two windows on either side of the front door,
Yes,
whether they could be curved if they're on the top instead of being straight on the top. And it's just a question. We're sort of okay either way. But she-
you know, let's draw it up.
She thought maybe something that just was a little different, so every window wasn't a rectangle.
Well, it
That
makes it
just
more
on either side of the
intimate.
porch,
I'll
right?
tell you that
so-
much, but I, you know what, draw it up.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's something,
Look at
it's
it.
something Peter and the
to it,
staff can
right?
do very quickly. And I think also expressing, like we said early in the conversation, the sills and the lintels, because it's looking a little too like Bauhaus.
Right.
You know, like it needs to have a little more layers of detail.
The original ones were, see if you see on the photo next to it, the original ones are curved. and
Yes,
we-
they are.
So,
If I can also say one thing, if that's a concern of yours and of the clients, I mean, you can also look at the sills and lintels, which are very minimal right now.
Mhm. Yeah,
If you feel, but it does look a little shingle like it.
yeah. And
If you want something that's a little heavier, more defined in the framing,
I think we can work with Mike and Margie before we come back in on that, like, you know,
Especially the
treatment
lintels.
of those openings
right?
and a couple options on that, those arched openings by the entry.
And I'm sorry, no contemplation of coins. Okay, okay.
That was
So 97.
to Rob's point, the shinkle aspect of it, severe aspect
Wait
of
a
it
minute,
is
let's just have one person talk at
I'm
a
so
at a
sorry.
time. So go ahead.
the shinkle aspect of it that is very severe, is beautiful in one way. So that's one my concern about the entrance, that it's makes too pretty and then it detracts from that. So, you know, it's one has to go one way or the other to keep it severe and geometric and not do these soft things or soften it up a little bit more. I mean, the first iteration, you know, had shutters, which made it very pretty and soft, which is, you know, obviously you're not going in that direction.
Which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
we couldn't fit, shutters didn't work on the back of the house. So it just was sort of a very, you know, okay,
No.
we're having two houses. That didn't make sense. So we
No.
really wanted one house.
Yeah,
Right.
but I think we need to balance that Schenkel kind of vibe too. It's a little strong.
Right.
Part of also,
severe.
I think that the severity is the space between the piano nobile and then the top floor.
Mhm.
It's a yawning expanse. I mean, which is it's a very dramatic effect.
Again, it's a rendering. So this is the whole.
Well, that I'm working
yeah.
with the army I got here. So,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
Think of
you know,
bigger.
so if you were to reduce that expanse slightly, again, to give a little bit of room above the window, below the corners, and shrink the expanse between the piano nobile and the others.
Yeah, and that's actually something we were playing with the new windows, so we could look at that a little further.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Stephanie, you had a comment?
I was just, well, it's all going in the same direction. I was just saying I think they're really charming, these windows, and perhaps if that idea was somehow, you know, if we saw that incorporated with a different door, you know, you could make it really harmonious
Mhm.
with the new railing and the windows. I think imagining them on their own right now is more difficult, but once you've got your door, you could tie
Right,
it
kind of
in.
build on those decisions,
Mhm.
right? So it all hangs together.
We have some neighbors on the
Yeah, I
Zoom.
was going to ask, do any neighbors have any comment for Mr. Okay, Jim, you have your hand raised. Jim Hayes. Go ahead.
Yes, just two quick questions. First of all, the pool, this pool, when it's maintained, I suppose on occasion will be drained. Where will the effluent go?
Actually, we usually don't drain the pool.
You don't? You clean
No,
it?
we just lower it a little bit for the winter.
Okay.
We
All
don't
right.
like to waste the water.
All right. The second question is, there is screening for the pool, but then there's a kind of a rec area to the south of the pool. Will that also be screened from East Lake Road?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you very much.
And that was part of changing the entrance to the garages, was that we could screen that side as well.
Okay.
Instead of driving right up to some big giant garage doors, we were trying to tuck them away.
Anything else, Jim? No? Okay. All right, well, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks for
Thank-
making time for us.
Thank you.
Really
Forward to the
appreciate
next
it.
revision.
Thank you for
Thank you
your
so
openness.
much.
I did.
Well,
Oh, we had something we really had to fix.
yeah, and it's
so,
part of your community
yeah.
too, so I
Well,
mean,
we
we
actually-
should be receptive.
So appreciated.
We got some helpful comments from other people too, to think about.
Yeah, this
Dan
is-
Ricks and some others gave us.
It's been an evolution.
Lots of free advice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take any idea. You know, it's a good
Well,
one.
My best to Margie.
I will.
And good
Thank
to
you.
see you again.
Great to see
All right.
you.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. In the next board meeting, bar meeting, Board of Architectural Review.
No.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Do you want us to bring colors for the, like the garage door?
As much as you
Do
can.
that if you color it. Okay. Okay.
Okay, thanks again.
Okay, take care.
Go.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Good night.
That is the end of our applications for this evening. So we have to review the minutes. Do you have the minutes?
I don't have them handy, but if the board has them, we can review them and questions to Desiree.
I did submit, you had a misspelling. I think, I don't know if you caught that, Desiree, on Turtle Point. It's not Edward Sebastian, it's Edward Silvestri. Certainly that's not enough to hold up approval of the minutes, but I mean, that was,
Pending that correction.
right. So if that's the only thing, okay, I move that we approve the minutes from the November 3rd, 2022 BAR meeting. Do I have a second? Christopher Gao seconds. All in favor? Aye. Okay. It is now 7:16.
I don't know
So
if
go
we
ahead.
should have this discussion during the formal meeting. We need to discuss the next meeting and possibly at least talk about a few dates. The third Thursday of each month, we have court here at the village. It starts at 5.
Right,
So it's not practically feasible to start a bar meeting at 5:30.
right.
So I don't know
The-
what you're.
There was the following week.
Yes, we discussed, the 20th was mentioned, but that's a holiday. The following Thursday will be the 23rd. And
I don't have an issue with that.
I could do that.
What about, I mean, I know the time was changed and I wasn't consulted. I'd like to put my input in that.
Oh, well, wait a
In the-
minute.
And
Okay.
then changing it, could we change the bar meeting to Monday nights? Is that a possibility? Then we wouldn't conflict with the court.
Well, that's a veteran, that's a
The only
holiday
trouble
that
with
day.
Monday is depending upon, it does run into several holidays during the year
Okay.
sometimes. Right.
Would the 23rd work for you? or-
Well, let's have this meeting. Let's
Oh,
close the official meeting and have this
okay.
discussion. So it's now 7:18, and I'd like to make a motion to close the February 2nd, 2023 meeting. Do I have a second? Molly? Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, so